Hi, it's Elise here with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So our theme for this week, we are taking a look at some of the new books that have come into the library over the past couple of months. And I love new books. They give you a chance to explore something that maybe no one else has yet. I mean, like there's something about if you're the first person to read this book in the library, they have that new book smell to them. I know that sounds weird, but I promise it is a real thing. So we have 6 that we're going to take a look at because we are always getting new things. And I love to highlight some of the amazing titles that we've added to our collection. So let's get started. Our first one is Doodleville by Chad Sell. So this graphic novel is one that it's a little abstract, but I think you might like it. So this is all about Drew, who lives in Chicago. She doesn't really have any friends. Her parents are always super busy working there and running their diner, so she's kind of left up to herself. And so because of that, she spends a lot of time doodling. And she doodles these creatures and characters, and they live in this paper town she's created that's called Doodleville. But here's where her art is kind of different from everyone else's. These doodles have the ability to come to life. Like they can jump off the page and they can run amok, okay, in society. So she tries to keep them in Doodleville, but occasionally sometimes they manage to get out. So on a trip to the Art Institute of Chicago with her art club, the doodles end up escaping and they start running through the museum, this art institute, and they end up jumping into these paintings that are by favorite artists like Degas and Monet, and some crazy things then start to happen. Because of the anxiety she feels because of what happened, she creates this new character. She kind of like funnels all of her anxiety and anger into this new character who she calls Levi. But when Levi comes to life, he's kind of destructive, and he starts to then ruin the artwork created by other members in her art club. In order to try to stop this from happening, they are all going to have to come together, and they're going to need to figure out how they are going to stop Levi from destroying even more. The first in a new graphic novel series by the same person who brought Cardboard Kingdom, so if you've read that series, you know you're in for a great story. This is all about art, friendship, creativity, emotions, art coming to life, you know, a little bit some fantasy, magical realism. This is Doodleville. Nothing ever happens here. So Izzy is in middle school, everything seems to be going along just okay, and everything's normal and nothing ever happens in their small town of Little Haven. That is until one evening when her father comes out to her family as a trans woman, and he wants to be called Danielle. Izzy has no idea how to handle this information, and while she decides that she's going to keep everything inside, her older sister Megan has no problem letting everyone else in the family how she feels about this. And she's incredibly angry about the situation that they are now in. Izzy's trying to deal with all the stress from, you know, this news, and plus trying to adjust to what her life is like now, and she's afraid her family is going to fall apart. And it just gets worse when her classmates find out what is going on, and they start to make it even more uncomfortable for Izzy. As time goes on, though, Izzy starts to realize that Danielle is the same person as the father she knew before, and her friends start to become more understanding and supportive. But it's ultimately going to be up to Izzy to decide what her acceptance is going to be of this whole situation. This realistic look at changing families and diverse families is a heartwarming and honest one. I highly recommend. It's Nothing Ever Happens Here. The OK Witch. So, 13-year-old Moth has always felt that she never fits in, that there is something different about her from all of her peers. It is on Halloween that Moth learns the truth. She is from a line of witches, and she is now included in that heritage now that she's 13 years old. Her mother forbids her from using her powers, and they can cause more trouble than what they are worth. But that doesn't stop Moth. And before she knows it, she finds herself going down this trail, this rabbit hole, into her family history that changes everything. It's going to be up to Moth to decide what she wants. Does she want to follow her mother out of the family line? Or does she want to follow the roots of her grandmother and accept who she is, even with all of the dangers that come with it? This graphic novel is the first in a series. The second one is already out. So I would suggest if you get this one, put the second one on hold or check it out right then if you're able to, because you are going to want to know what happens to Moth as she starts to navigate her new identity and family heritage. This is the OK Witch. Starfish. So, 11-year-old Ellie is in middle school. She loves to swim, and she is constantly bullied because of her weight. She's trying the best that she can, but that does not seem good enough. Her mom is always making all of these negative comments about her weight and eating, even sometimes hinting at weight loss surgery, even though she's only 11 years old. She's being picked on by everyone at school, and then to top it off, her best friend just moved away. And Ellie doesn't know how to deal with any of this. When she gets new neighbors, though, and they have an 11-year-old whose name is Catalina, Catalina seems to fit right in with Ellie. She doesn't judge her for how she looks, but soon they become like fast friends and maybe even a new best friend for Ellie. And before she knows it, she's become accepted by Catalina's family, and they don't judge her based on her appearance either. And she has their support along with her father's to get the help she needs. And it's with therapy that she starts to love herself for who she is, and she starts to stand up for herself. This novel in verse is all about accepting who you are, how to self-advocate, standing up for yourself, and learning just to love who you are for what you are and everything that comes with it. This is Starfish. How to become a planet. So, 12-year-old Pluto's having a bit of a hard time. She was just diagnosed during 7th grade with depression and anxiety. It caused her to miss 34 days of school, and hoping not to repeat 7th grade, her mom has agreed to tutor her at home. Pluto, though, is like over the whole situation, and now that it's summer, she wants nothing to do with summer. She's still trying to figure out her meds. She hasn't spoken to her friends, especially her best friend, in months, so she has no idea what the scenario is with that, where she stands with them, who she can hang out with, what they think of her, if they're going to judge her. And then on top of that, her father wants her to come live with him and his new girlfriend in New York City. And that would mean leaving her mother in New Jersey. And, Pluto doesn't know how she feels about that either. So part of her summer, she is going to spend with her mom working in her mother's pizza shop on the boardwalk. And that is there where Pluto starts to make new friends, including Fallon, who's trying to figure out their life as well. And soon, Pluto realizes that she is not the only one who's having these types of issues in her life, and she's not the only one that is going through stuff. And then she starts to band together with these new friends, and it's going to be up to her to vocalize what it is that she wants. This realistic look at friendship, family, mental health, and what it's like to be in middle school is one that everyone can relate to, either if you're already in middle school or if you've been through middle school. We can all relate to Pluto. This is how to become a planet. And our last one today is It's Outta Here, the might and majesty of the home run. So if you love sports, especially baseball, this is a book you have to check out. So this is all about the history, the majesty, the glory of the famed home run, which is considered by some to be the most exciting, energetic, electrifying play event in the game of baseball. So this book not only goes into the history, the stats, there's even a chapter in here of the 25 most famous home runs in the history of baseball, but also the players and the records and the more of the game. But there's also chapters in here that are about the science behind this special at-bat moment, all while debunking myths, providing facts you may have not known unless you've read this book. It is filled with some of the greatest pictures. Right here, there's pictures all throughout. Some of them are just historic ones. This is, all about, all the way back to 1975. Here's some of the best home run hitters in the game. I encourage you, if you love sports, even if you don't love sports, you will learn to appreciate the home run, and it's out of here. So these are the 6 of the new books that we have here at the library, and I encourage you to come on down, check out one of these, or I can promise you, we have legit new book displays that are always out, that we're always putting the new stuff on, so you can find something that is new that maybe you haven't read before. Maybe you've heard of it and you've wanted to read it, or maybe you can find a book that sounds amazing and you didn't even know it existed, but it's on that new book display. So I encourage you to come on out and make sure you check out those new book displays whenever you come into the library. I hope you tune back next week. We have a whole new middle grade book spotlight, and I hope you have an amazing week.